Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play .hack.gu. This is part 17. In the last episode, we kind of took a break from some story stuff and went on a quest with Gaspard and our new friend Pyros III. And now it's also going to be kind of like a light episode. We're just going to go through an area with Atoli and Silabus. I think it was Silabus that emailed us a recommended area to level up. So we may as well do that. Now I mentioned earlier that you get a ton of area words from like forums and stuff that is either good for leveling up or finding some common item, and I said I was gonna skip all those, and so it might seem a little weird that I'm gonna just do an area that has nothing to do with anything with the story. But for when characters email Haseo specifically, I usually will go to those areas anyway, because just while it is really easy to level up in .hack.gu, and it's not really necessary to, destroy every single monster in an area, I also wouldn't like skimp out too much either. Especially early in the game, still. Well, relatively speaking, we're 17 parts in, and it's weird thinking about it because we're only like, geez, what did it say? I was like level 11 or so. But we did go through a lot of story things, but we're coming kind of close to the halfway mark, and level 14 for Haseo. We're coming kind of close to the halfway mark for the first volume, which is weird because I still feel like we kind of haven't even begun doing anything, but levels will catch up quickly. Like I said in a couple episodes ago, the arena is kind of a big part of this volume, and a lot of this game is going to be just kind of grinding for levels to get to the arena. And I wouldn't even say grinding, there's just going to be a lot of like Silabus or Atoli will recommend an area word for leveling up for the arena in between arena battles, and you'll go there and you'll get a bunch of levels, and then hopefully you'll be good enough to go to the next one. But I think, God, what was it? I can't even remember the first act. Once you get past like the seed stuff, like trying to like make it in the top 16 or whatever, I think your first actual arena battle, I don't think it's as low as level 20, and I don't think it's as high as level 30, but somewhere in between there. And I know once you go up against the champion, I think he's level 45, if that'll give you an idea of, how much of the game focuses on the arena. And I mean, technically, we went in here around level 10. We were still just fighting through the the preliminary rounds and stuff. So when characters email you an area word, I never really know if there's any kind of story stuff attached to it. I don't think there's any story stuff attached to this one. I think this is just a normal area that you're going through to level up. So it's kind of going to be like a more easygoing episode. Not a whole lot's going to happen, unfortunately. So I don't know if I'm going to be skipping some more of these areas or not in the future. I guess it depends. Regardless of whether I do or not, I do kind of want to show, like, what the characters' levels are going to get at, and if they learned any new skills or anything, just to keep you guys, like posted on where everybody's at. But I know I'm going to cut a lot of these battles out. It's like this type of enemy, and then I think 2 more in this dungeon. I think it's a 3-4 dungeon. I can't remember. But so one of the better chim collecting objects is in this room right now, and it's that giant mushroom. And as you can see, it's a whole lot more better. I don't know, I forget what word I was looking for, but it's better to get chims from things like those than just, waiting by a switch to hit some steam to knock 3 off of that cart, and on and on. I usually reserve chim collecting for bigger objects like that, because I don't want to wait around and just, like, you know, grind chims in small amounts. But unfortunately, sometimes I'll have to, because, you know, an area might have a ton of doors that need chim spheres to open, and, you know, one of the episodes I was recording for Volume 2 this morning actually kind of, like, drained me of, like, 40 chim spheres, just because it was, like, door after door after door. It was obnoxious. I went in with, like, 50 or so chim spheres, and I lost almost all of them. Yeah, that was just another lucky animal. He's one of the ones that gives you money. I'm fine with the money thing. There are some better ones, like, in theory. Like, there are some lucky animals that will increase your max HP and SP for, like, the next 5 battles or so. There might even be one that'll do something like saving you from a game over or something like that. I can't remember, but I mean, since I never really have too much of a problem in GU, it's kind of like, okay, not a big deal. I'd rather take the extra money. Because money is kind of tight in the beginning of the game, so until you kind of get into a groove, and until Shop Acorn opens up, because I don't know why, I'm never really inclined to go sell a lot of stuff at normal shops in this game. I usually wait until Shop Acorn has more spots open to put in, just because Gaspard will get you more money through his I don't know what he does. I'd be interested to see what kind of salesmanship Gaspard has to get prices like those. There was even a forum post in Volume 2 that kind of mentioned Gaspard is great, and he's cool, and he's funny, and I love seeing him in Shop Acorn, but he charges way too much for his stuff, and it's like, why do you shop there then? Especially because I usually end up putting a lot of these, you know, junk items into the store. Hey, yellow one. Too bad we're maxed out. Yeah, like we usually get like a bunch of the same accessories and the same armor in dungeons, and I'll just put those up on the shop. So I don't know. It's usually at that point in the game I feel like I'm a little more comfortable spending money. If I really need to do item sorting, I'll put whatever I want in the Shop Acorn, and then I'll just sell, you know, whatever's left to an actual shop, because you'll always get more stuff for Shop Acorn the next time you go to any area, pretty much. This game throws a lot of not really useful stuff at you, including, like, the armor and stuff. God, I was playing with characters, I haven't changed their armor since, like, Volume 1, and they were, like, 50 levels higher than the armor, but they were, like, doing fine the entire time. I swear, like, the armors and weapons are such a second thought in this game. It still kind of, like, baffles my mind. It's like GU does some good things with trying to implement some new ways to play the game, and, you know, unfortunately some of them are hit or miss. Like the chim spheres, I could do without the chim spheres. Like how I want to open an item box, but I have to get rid of all the chims to do so, apparently. But, like, you get all of these attack items, like those Earth Spike scrolls we get, but it's like, why use them? Hisaya is not good with magic. You know, and you never really need to. You never really face enemies that you could tell what's the difference between, like, their defense and magic defense. Everybody's kind of deals damage in, like, a similar way towards enemies, so it's like, what's the point? Like, early in the game, I'll give them to Gaspard or Atoli, just so they can have some more, like, attack spells to use, but once they start learning attack spells on their own, it's like, you don't really need it. Like, one of the things about the original series was, you could really turn the tide of a battle if you want to go and play around with the elemental weaknesses. You know, sometimes I'll have, some scrolls on hand for Kite to use against enemies, just because it's the better option. And Kite was a lot more balanced in the first game, too. Like, Twin Blades were probably the most balanced character in, class in that game, but you know, I think a good reason why they chose Kite to be a Twin Blade was because you can choose whether or not you wanted to do physical attacks or magic attacks and not really suffer for it. I mean, you'd never do as much as, like, you know, a more physical-based character or a magical-based character, but it was still enough to, like, deal good damage to make progress in the battle. So, I don't know. It's like I feel like they included those scrolls in this game just so it's like a little more consistent from the previous one, but since Haseo doesn't need them, it's like, why even bother getting them? I don't know, like, I guess you, like I was doing in the earlier in the game, you could just give them to other people to use, but it's like, yeah, I don't know, just kind of feels like a waste of time to me, to be honest, especially since so few enemies in this game rely on, like, an elemental weakness. Like I mentioned before, I'm still not even sure how the elemental weaknesses work. Like here, these, what are they called? Gon bezels, was it? Gon is the dot hack word for earth, so I don't know. I'd be interested to, maybe I should have played around a little more and used, like some type of wind scroll to see if they would do more damage, or an earth scroll to see if, it would do less damage, but at the same time, it's like, who cares? Just let Haseo go nuts against them, and it's fine. I'm not having a problem with the battles or anything, so it's like, who cares? Yeah, Dot Hack GU doesn't have too many tough battles, unfortunately. But at the same time, that's something I kind of like about it, too. Like, it can be boring at times, I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, playing it, while not... It may not be, like, the most, like, I don't know, involved game to play, but it's relaxing in its own way. Like, I don't know, every now and then you just kind of need, like, something a little mindless to play that just kind of, you know, unwind. Put something on in the background and listen to it while you're just dungeon crawling in Dot Hack GU, and it's fine. But, I don't know, if we are talking about, like, innovations and stuff in the game, then, I don't know, I definitely feel like the original Dot Hack series gave more of a challenge. Like, in addition to a lot more different enemy types, like I mentioned earlier, you have to kind of use strategy for some of them. Especially in the last two volumes. The last two volumes got super tough, to the point where it's like, you can't just rely on your... whoever you designated as your healer to do your healing. You've got to pull out the stops for healing too, because waiting for them may result in death. Like, you'd revive characters a lot more. It was... yeah, it was definitely a lot more challenging. Some enemies just, before we go on with these, sometimes you'll find different characters in a dungeon. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but in case I haven't, these guys here are part of the Medic Union. You'll see them on the official The World forum. They'll basically, if you talk to them, they'll heal you and give you status buffs. And if you talk to the same one past the first time, they'll all warp out. So be sure to talk to each one once, and then you can talk to whatever one you want again for a fourth buff. And that's kind of, you know, the extent of what they're for. And they'll give you coupons. Coupons can be used for discounts at different shops in the square, like where Gaspard runs Shop Acorn. You know, not terribly useful, but if you get up enough and you find an expensive item, it'll be a nice enough discount. I wouldn't use them willy-nilly, unless you really want to just get rid of a space in your item slot and you don't have many coupons to start with. Because it's not like you're running into people at those platforms very often. But yeah, it was kind of an easy area. Didn't really amount to much. I'm not even sure how much we leveled up. I was too busy comparing GU to Dot Hack, the original series again. What a surprise. Swear this whole Let's Play is going to be about the first game was better than GU, blah blah blah. And it's like, you can't not compare GU to the first series. You can't ever really not compare a sequel or a spiritual successor of something to its predecessor, because that's the first thing you think of when you're comparing it. You have to kind of go out of your way sometimes to, you know, judge something on its own. And even the first time playing the game, when I really was in love with it, I also had to admit that you really have to judge GU on its own merit rather than a dot hack game, because it does feel so much different than the original series. Alright, this item we just got here is we're gonna give to Atoli, and she's gonna have that accessory on for the whole game. It is a rare item that has an effect that lowers her healing cost permanently engraved onto it. So, as a healer, you know, I don't have to explain that that's useful, especially when SP is a concern, but yeah, just finishing up stuff here for this episode. Thought I'd leave it in, see where everybody's at. I think the only thing we have to do is just to give Atoli her new medic badge, and that'll be that. Next time, hopefully, something a little more exciting will happen. I'm curious. Can I catch what level everybody got? I think I was at 14 and the other two were at 11. Oh man, we didn't even level up at all. That was... I guess that wasn't such a good area to level up in after all. Oh well. Next time on Let's Play Dot Hack GU, I think... I want to bet we're going to go to the arena. I'm not 100% sure, so I guess we'll both have to just find out. So, see you later.